Patterson, Wanda Patterson.
No, that's okay, I'm glad you mentioned it. And then there's some potholes on Warren Alley between First Street and Priest Lane that I mentioned to Jason during the break between the meetings. What else do we have for roads, Jason? Huh?
I said, whatever you guys have.
I talked to
Just
Mary
go.
Ann.
Okay,
Actually, I talked to Rodney, that's who I talked to. So.
okay.
They don't have a problem with sending their guys down here to help us if we need help chip seal or something.
So they want to enter into a deal like we have with Franklin Township, is that what we're getting?
Yeah, the only thing about it is theirs is really about the only thing that they're going to want to ever use from us is a patcher. And we're going to need them. I told him we might need them for a couple of 3 weeks to do that chip seal. And other than that, that'd be the main thing is all we'll do.
So if we send them the patcher, we also send Jason?
No. I told him what I'd do was all they need is 3 or 4 hours of training and it's that high skilled job. So I told him if they came about it, I'd go up there and train them on how to use it. So.
I really think to protect all the parties involved, you need to have a written agreement, similar to the one we have with Franklin.
That's
So,
what I
contact Mark Zangi, or do you want to contact him about doing it?
I don't care what you do, but I just need to know, and I'm going to talk to them.
I mean, if we're in agreement.
Yeah, I told him we had to have something in writing because if they borrow our equipment, and that says that they're responsible for it when they have it, so they carry insurance on it and that kind of stuff. But
I know shared services is a big thing, and I do think we need to have it documented.
yep.
Well, they'll have the same, so that's great. Perfect.
I mean, we're all in agreement to do that.
And yours, Shelby, how do you do? And they may share services with us to help us with Jason.
So is Rodney going to be the point of contact with them then?
That's who's called me, talked to me. So.
Okay.
Well,
And then prior to the bid opening, the administrator provided copies of printouts about the culvert application and the driveway permit and all that. So it's nothing to make a decision this evening.
Chit chat, we're going to around the corner.
Something to take a look at and we can talk about and decide in another meeting.
well, I'm happy about the ditch closure and that, because we've kind of been out on that. And like up on the corner of Butler, and those people want us to fix their culvert, but they don't want us to clear out their ditch. Well, the drainage won't work unless we ditch. So, and they're the ones that are filling it up, so this is, yeah, this is, they feel like I haven't done anything, but, I mean, I'm not, they're gonna be unhappy if we fix it the way that it should be fixed, because but this is nice, because now, if we decide to go with this, we can say,
Yes, that's the official process
Bless you.
as outlined in the revised code and also approved by the county engineer.
so we don't have to do anything, just start using it.
Well, we need to decide if we're going to adopt it in a meeting or something, but I think we know we're good. Thank you.
Oh,
said another week or so, get rid of it, hopefully we won't get one more time before fall. So we have rain, I'm not very cooking it.
Okay, zoning,
Sure. I have here a preliminary site plan that county engineer and, health department and, planning commission have all signed off on. This is for this is tentative, the company has not committed to this yet, but they are, have sent it to their final committee. This would be for a Dollar General store to be placed on the lot. This is the Davis Snaggers property down here on Mark Road, Davis Snaggers, Riverside Road. Whether the company follows through, but they've done all their development, they've done all their background, they've done all their talking to the right folks, and it's in their ballpark whether they choose to do this or not.
We're trying to get one every 100 feet.
But there's this.
I don't know, they're pretty good.
It's one of the yellow sign, the Dollar Store, the yellow sign, Dollar General.
Is that what's in, you know,
This company is out of, the developer is out of Tennessee, and they do development for Dollar General, half a dozen different companies that we don't have around here, Walgreens, which we do have around here, and a few others. They are the development for new locations. And they take it to their client, and their client decides to spend the money or not. The land's under tentative contract with the owner, and everybody's on board so far.
some exciting news.
I have one lot split, which I approved up on Butler Road, 3 zoning applications.
Is this in the corner?
Right in the corner across from Camp Abandon. Part of it will be 15 acres will be, I think it's 50 acres. 15 will be for residential site, remaining will be agriculture. Non-building site.
And it is joint driveway with anything else going on back there?
The driveway issue is up to the engineer, but it's my understanding from those drawings or anything that the driveway will go to the 15 acres, and the other remaining 32 acres, I believe it is, will be, have farm access rights, plus the person that owns surrounding properties and stuff. But the real key is we're now gonna have a piece of landlocked property that's a non-build site. And if you look at our comprehensive plan from what they said years ago, it wanted that piece of land to be positive, housing.
When the corner was being done too,
Right,
right?
but you also have to remember that same corner, but if it became housing in the city of Northwood, it just sucked that right
Maybe
up.
that's what
because
we were worried about.
They weren't that far away.
Well, and that's when they put in that, stuff right down by the railroad tracks too on Dayton that amounted to nothing. They spent all that thousands of dollars. Remember that? They put in
So,
sewage up to there.
in a way, this sort of shuts the city of North down in that direction. At the same point, it also gives us 32 acres that's not to be used in a residential way in the future. That doesn't mean that somebody can't find an access point to another road, but, or buy somebody's property and make it accessible, but, it's the landowner's right to do this.
You're okay.
Yeah.
surveyor's been in there. I believe that's the lot split's one of those ones we won't even go to the planning commission. It would just, the planning staff probably just approve that.
Did you attend the June 27th planning commission meeting on the subdivision regulation?
Oh yeah, you're not really sure, but I'm sure.
Steal your thunder, okay?
Um,
We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
Okay,
Last
sorry.
month I received, this letter from a citizen, and I've had to determine this citizen is it's a zoning issue, is a citizen without standing. So I can't really take action on their complaint, but I'm required to take formal action on the complaint within 30 days, or start the investigation. Unfortunately, this person has no standing, meaning that they don't live there, they don't live adjacent to the property, they used to be there, and they're friends. So I will let you see it, but I told her, I said, you know, I appreciate I'm taking it for information only, but I can't formally do an investigation based on this letter, because you're a person without standing. And believe it or not, that could, if you had a situation that actually had to go to court over a zoning issue, a person without standing would be a bad situation to be in. This is really usual.
Didn't we get a complaint from someone who was in good standing recently? Or someone?
Not really.
We just sort of talked about it.
The individual, one of the two individuals who has a dwelling on that property is actually complaining about it.
Oh, that's right, that was what it
So
was.
it's sort of like self-incrimination.
They decided they don't like each other.
Right. They're, you know how family are. They,
Yeah.
you don't have to get along, but you still gotta love each other, right? On June 26th, the Planning Commission members, 1 hour prior to their normal meeting at 7, held a first review of this 103-page document of changes to the Licking County subdivision regulations. Subdivision regulations would impact any new subdivision that we have. This would be a subdivision for homes, or this could be a subdivision for an industrial park, or this would be a subdivision for a commercial shopping center. They're all subdivisions. This thing, they got it messed up. So at the meeting, two things immediately came to the forefront, and it immediately got pretty much tabled. And therefore, there's another meeting on this on July 25th, time to be determined, which is also the next monthly meeting of the Planning Commission. What I want to point out to the trustees is some changes that I think are going to impact Madison Township. And if you'd like to read this 103 pages, you're more than welcome to. But it is posted to their website. Sidewalks. They're wanting all sidewalks in a subdivision. First of all, when the lot size becomes too small, the issue of ditches comes up. In other words, when the lots are less than 100 feet wide and less than 3/4 of an acre in a future subdivision, ditches are no longer an option. Mandatory curbs and gutters. engineer determines that the ditch system would be adequate, then it, regardless, because of the engineer, mandatory curbs and gutters. Because of the soil type or the drainage or the grade of the ground, so. And the option of what used to be known as enhanced ditches, which was when the county engineer said you have to have curbs and gutters, but we have an enhanced ditch option. So if you make your ditches a little bit different than normal, a little bit wider, and you know, all that stuff, that option they want to take away. In other words, when it's curbs and gutters, it's curbs and gutters. No choice.
Quick question about that before you move on. Where would the water go?
Well, curb and gutter system basically puts all the water into underground pipes, and then it has to go into a retention pond.
So you have to have retention ponds and everything else. Where
And
the
that's
ditches
not
you go.
uncommon.
No, I know it's not.
Yeah, the only people it's really gonna affect is the developers, because if it has to
They
have
gotta
curbs
do
and gutters and all that
They
stuff,
gotta do
when we take it,
It's a
yeah,
big
when we take it over, it's gotta already be all done, so
Mhm.
it doesn't really affect us in any way, so.
And you're right, in some ways it does. But here's the problem. There've been some other townships that have had some problems with subdivisions that were developed 20 and 30 years ago, and now they're having problems, now they're under review, and they're going back to pull the original application and all the files, and they're gone. Files are gone, because due to the planning commission's retention schedule, they no longer needed them. So they went away. So then they're saying, well, since they're gone, we don't know all the things that were considered, and they're sort of imposing the new rules on old subdivisions, because they say, well, you have a problem. So it's been advised that,
It really does affect us. I mean, I say it don't affect us because the reason it affects us is if they build a housing addition out here and put curbs and gutters in, if the roads need repaved, you gotta grind the roads down to repave them, they have curbs and gutters, you don't just put asphalt on it. So that doubles the cost of maintaining the road, so really it does
and then with
affect
the
us,
enhanced
but-
ditches option being gone, that's when the proposals there's mandatory curbs and gutters.
Safety issue.
When the lot is too small by their standards, or the soil or what mandates it. The other thing is sidewalks. They want to say that sidewalks would be required for a new subdivision when they're within a half mile of a commercial or a quasi or publicly zoned land. They're on land designated for commercial or quasi. When they're located within a half mile of a school, park, playground. The subdivision has an average lot size of 3/4 of an acre and more. And when they would connect to an existing area which already has sidewalks. Okay? And then here's the one that I don't like. I talked with them today about it. All sidewalks along township or county roadways must be placed inside the road right of way. All sidewalks along state routes will be placed outside the road right of way. Well, I don't understand why our sidewalks can't be outside the road right of way and remove that obligation from the township. They also mandate that, and this is how they're going to do their maintenance on sidewalks, is they want to say that the sidewalk maintenance and repair will be added to the deed of each property, saying that the property owner is responsible for maintenance and repair of said sidewalk, even though it's in the township's right of way. I mean, to me, it just makes more sense to say, sorry, no sidewalk in township right of way.
So how do they anticipate it's going to be enforced?
Well, that's the other problem. They didn't, how do you enforce the deed violation?
We don't have it.
All we can do is when they come, if, say this happens, and 20 years from now, they come to us and say, when's the township gonna fix the sidewalk in front of my house? We pull up the deed and say, never, because it's yours. And then how are we gonna handle future situations when somebody comes to us and say, I go out and I walk my dog in my community and I trip over this sidewalk because it's moved up, and now the citizens are gonna be looking for you to do something about the sidewalk. Now you gotta go back to the deed and say, well,
Is it the same as it is in town right now?
and
Nothing different, is it?
different. They are what they call a incorporated in town, Heath
The
and
owner's
City.
still,
Yeah, but
Sure.
the legality of it's different. the laws for an incorporated, which is Newark and Heath, are a lot different than the laws for unincorporated, which is us and other townships. So they're incorporated, we're unincorporated.
You go for the sidewalks you're talking about.
Yeah. These sidewalks are just gonna be county or township.
But if I lived in West Main Street, say, sidewalk in front of my house, I'm responsible for fixing that.
But,
Shoveling it.
but that's by Newark's choice, not by the county's choice.
So now it's just gonna be,
Yeah, the city of
County
Newark,
wide
once they
instead of
became, once
city.
they have that land inside there, they can say whatever they wanna say.
so it's gonna be the same as living there or Granville or.
Granville's incorporated too, so they
Really
have.
not big a deal then.
Yeah, so, yeah, well, in a way it is, because the city of Newark can say what their rules are on their sidewalk, and they have control of it. Madison can say what they want on sidewalks, but the planning commission is gonna say, but we supersede you in authority on this issue.
But it sounds pretty typical to me,
The good thing is, we don't have sidewalks right now.
all places that have sidewalks have that same rule, but.
Yeah, so basically, you know, we're trying to be preventative in the future, to set ourselves up for when we get our first sidewalk, that we got it where we want it, and maintenance is not gonna be a problem.
But it's, the way it's read now, it sounds like if Kevin has a sidewalk in front of his house, it snows, it heaves and thaws and freezes, he's responsible to fix that sidewalk. The way I understand you're trying to say is that at that point, it's gonna be Jason has to go out and fix the sidewalk in front of Kevin's house.
That could happen. It all
This is
depends on the.
subdivision regulations.
Yeah, this is subdivision, this would be
It's
future,
not subdivision.
future subdivision.
Example, sorry.
Future subdivisions. So we have a chance to get input in here, so this is our time to get our input in to say, you know, we don't like it, we want the sidewalks to be not in the road right away.
Still have a question, Gordon, or?
On existing township road, there's not enough right of way to put a sidewalk there anyway.
No, not really.
Well, what he's saying is it's just subdivision, so it has to be laid out into a
Right.
subdivision before it falls under any of this stuff, so.
You know, it seems to me like there's a major legal question about ownership if it's put in with private dollars on public land, who actually owns it.
That's the problem they're running into now, is they have a sidewalk, that's in a township's right of way. And some developers were saying, hey, I had to put it in, but after I put it in, not my problem. The homeowner said, it's in the right of way, it's not my problem, you know, and so we're trying to get, you know, we might as well have our point of view heard, we may not get anywhere. Also, we don't want Madison's zoning resolution to be conflicting with the planning commission and have a situation where the planning commission can say, well, Madison says you can't do this, but we say you can. And it sort of, even though that should not happen, it does happen. So, and then, you know, there's a lot of things in here. Minimum road right of way in the future will be 72 feet, going all the way up to 120 feet. You know, that's some of the things that are in there. But this thing, again, is got problems, and it's, like I said, it's 103 pages of changes, and if you need something to fall asleep, here you go.
We can take a look at that on the website.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
And I believe, you want to,
I do, what are we gonna do if they, the property here marked, if they continue to not clean up?
I would recommend that the property we have over here across the street, the Paxton property, they have been notified of the zoning, some of their zoning violations, the operating of a business. And I did that to see how they would respond to the other 7. And so far, they have signed for their registered mail, and so far, I've heard nothing, not a word from them. Of course, they're in their 20-day period right now. I've checked with the health department, and while they are not thrilled with the cleanup over there, they believe that cleanup is still happening. I don't know if I really do believe that. So at this point, it'd be my recommendation to the trustees that at the next meeting of the trustees, that we be prepared to pass a motion or resolution, whatever it takes to forward it and let the prosecutor have it, for the issue of the zoning violation. And, the next thing would be, we may want to reconsider the trustee's option for declaring it a nuisance property. And Mark Zangi has already prepared that paperwork. I have a copy of it, to start a cleanup that's in control of the township. And again, that means we have to hire a contractor and all
And
this.
then we assess.
Send them a bill, they won't pay, they pay the bill, great, if they don't pay the bill, you have to go through the next step, which is to assess the charge to their property taxes. But that would be my recommendation, because we will have met all the timelines, all the timeframes, and all the legalities of it.
Okay.
And, you're under no obligation to, tell the individual of an advance meeting or an invitation to the meeting or anything. You can, but you don't have to. Because basically you're gonna say you have 10 days and there's their chance.
Have you guys tried sitting down with him and talking to him?
Yeah, they came to they were here
They
at a
were here a
meeting.
month ago.
I think talking is,
We've gone there, and tried to talk with them, and then they've come to the meeting.
Threatened everybody that
One-
was here, so.
It's a couple, and one is very passive and trying to do everything they can to help, and the other one is very non-helpful. So, and they've got siding 6 feet high and half an acre. So,
Anything else on zoning?
thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Under unfinished business, there's a handout regarding, law and comp time, compensatory time. It's 3 or 4 pages, or else 6 pages. Would you take a look at that? We can be prepared to discuss that at a future meeting. Is there any other unfinished business?
I'd say Mrs. Humphries, stuff falls under unfinished business, don't it?
Oh, we briefly talked to her, Jason and I did, when we stepped out, and he's gonna go up and manicure the ditch, to kind of straighten it out.
Tomorrow or whatever.
In the interim,
Where are we at?
Mrs. Humphries, she lives at 35 Fairfield Drive, it's got a concrete driveway, it's got a 10-inch diameter
Oh, yeah,
pipe,
picture.
and there's a
We
big,
had this before.
right,
So, what do you, you'll discuss that and then come up with a price?
but we
You
don't
got a,
have,
got a
we-
ballpark price?
we've got the handouts that Mark gave us earlier on the ditch driveway application and all that. I think we need to come to some decision on enclosed ditches.
But in the meantime, Jason's gonna go up there and see what he did.
He said he would go up and kind of realign it so it's not tire wheel ruts. Okay, here's where he,
So, I'll just, when we get that done, then I'll just wait to hear from you, I guess.
you said you'd try to get that yet this week if you could.
Let the material do it with, if you can do it.
We're not to that point right now. Right now, he's just gonna straighten up the ditch so the water will run and be in a single ditch instead of in the tire
So,
tracks.
how long do you think
I
it
don't know,
will
Doug, did you get any
take you to make a
prices on
decision?
that?
I don't know, the pipe's what, $4, $5 a foot? I don't know what the board wants to do for a decision, but in the past, we've never touched the concrete driveway because we don't have that capability, so if we dig it up, you'll have to,
Right.
get a price on fixing the concrete.
I'm willing to fix my own driveway, just put it down through there.
So, what do you wanna do? We did it across the road, I'd say, that,
Yes, you
until
did.
we get this stuff decided how we're gonna do it. I mean, this has been an ongoing problem, so.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
I'll get a set price and I'll stop up and see you, let you know.
Okay, I'm usually there.
Okay.
My dogs and my cat.
Thank you. comments from citizen, Joyce Weber requested to be on the agenda.
Yeah, I just, last Thursday, had a squad run at my house, which was really scary. A 17-year-old girl was having a seizure at my house. And one thing I definitely want to suggest for everybody in case they don't have them is if you don't have the reflective numbers on your mailbox, make sure that you do so that they can find you because they drove past my house, which took them almost 20 minutes, just shy of 20 minutes to get to my house, which I was not real happy with. It was extremely scary for us to, see this with Ryan going back in her head and convulsing and everything else. And I really wasn't happy. I talked to Brian Spellman about it, and his comment to me was 911's numbers were not correct. Going by what's public records. So, I mean, I can't say I was there with a stopwatch on what it said, but that is what it said. Just shy of 20 minutes to get to my house. So I wasn't happy with that.
Thank you, Joyce. And then Doug, you texted me this morning that Brian and Scott would like to
Why
address.
don't you get her talking?
We had the same situation. My dad last Tuesday evening had a seizure. Thought it was a heart attack at first. Took just about 10 minutes to get there. They know where he lives. He's got fucking. There's been a couple hundred fires, but 10 minutes to get from here to there. I timed it today from my house to here. It was 4.5 minutes without lights and sirens. And somebody, your father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister, baby, whatever's laying there not breathing, 10 minutes is a hell of a long time.
So you think we're getting better service now than we got in the past?
No. I take it back. I take that back. 3 months ago, when my baby had a seizure, I called all 3 of you and told you how good job they did. They were there in 4 minutes. I didn't time them, but just judging by what was going on at the time, I called all 3 of you and told you they did a hell of a good job. I don't know what the difference. It was Sunday evening, and last week was Tuesday evening. I don't know what the difference is. And when they did show up at Dad's last week, they had 3 squads, one from Madison Township. I'm not a firefighter EMT. I don't know why they needed 3 squads to transfer one person.
I can tell you, because it comes across like this on, across the number,
He wasn't breathing. I called him.
and that's why they sent mutual aid.
I got a question for you. What did they do to your dad?
They
Walked in
Put
the
him
house
on the
with that
Put him on the
computer?
cart.
Absolutely, they didn't do nothing.
took him out.
What they done?
A non-
They brought the cart in, took him out the front door.
non-breather never walked in the house with a bottle of oxygen.
And they didn't do anything
They didn't run
with
any
mine
DG
either.
or anything, so hard,
Nope,
blah,
nope,
blah, blah,
nope.
nothing.
Didn't do
Which-
one.
Didn't hook him up
And
long
I know
enough.
Brian said they were there in 10 minutes. We were checking the other night.
That's kinda
I think it was longer than 10 minutes.
pretty much
I think according to the
Was that
EMT
your
run, they
phone in there with that?
register 10 minutes.
on the main truck.
10 minutes is 5 minutes too long with them not breathing, in my opinion.
I called Brett 5 minutes after Brian called, just because I don't know. My dad's sitting there. I was just giving him fucking CPR at one point, excuse my language. But Brett was there from sound asleep at his house, which is 4 or 5 minutes away. And he was in the house 5 minutes before the squad was there. I think you pulled in about the same time. But he was sound asleep, out cold. I think the time was wrong on what they showed. I don't think it was 9 minutes like the record showed. I think it was longer than that.
What day of the week was yours, Joyce?
Mine was a Thursday morning, and unfortunately it was right after the bad storm, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark and raining, but they were told right from the get-go that it was on the corner of Stewart, and they drove right on past.
Since last Tuesday, I talked to Donaldson family that lives out Staten Bridge Road. They had to call the squad for his wife, Trevor's wife. He said he was on the phone with the driver, telling him to turn left into the driveway, and the driver turned right. Took him 20 minutes to turn around. I don't know when that was.
That was a month ago.
A month ago, I brought it up.
She was in the hospital for a long time.
Brooke didn't go back to work until June 4th, I believe.
My dad was in ICU all last week. Finally came home Friday evening.
You guys have played a game here. First you said there was a problem with the personnel, you found out that wasn't true. Then you said there wasn't enough money, you found out that wasn't true. Now we don't have a fire department, someone's gonna die. And when someone dies, you'll be responsible for it. And we'll have the video tapes showing that you lied. You lied to make this all happen. We have the videotapes showing you guys lying to get rid of our fire department. And you will be held responsible
You closed our
for
fire
this.
department and had a list of 10 runs, and we've got more than 10 runs already that Hanover can't even come close to the runs that you used to close our fire department.
And you
because
took
none
our,
of them were 20 minutes long.
you took our 600 runs and stacked them on top of their 600 runs. So they had 1,200 runs. If the numbers would have kept the same. It's not that way now, I know, because we've been bragging saying, well, we don't have as many runs because we're not doing mutual aid. We're down to 300 runs because we don't help other people and expect them to come here to help us. So we're bragging about, those are our bragging rates, and we only have 300 runs now. But that still puts Hanover at 900 runs from 600. They're out hiring people, probably people that we fired, and they're coming in and taking care of us. And then they're billing us on top of that. You guys have created a real mess here, and someone is going to get hurt or die, and it's your responsibility.
I don't know the rules on how many it takes to transport a patient from point A to the hospital.
Two.
Have to have
Takes
two
two.
card holders. Two card holders.
What's a card holder?
An
Paramedic.
EMT
Paramedic.
An intermediate or a medic.
Okay, so
Yeah, but a lot of times you have a new non-breathing.
I think we need to find a way to get 2 people in this station 24 hours a day. 2 card holders in this station 24 hours a day.
I didn't hear what you said.
I think we need to find a way to get 2 people in this station. I don't care who the chief is, if he lives here, Hanover, Toledo, a monkey could sit there and schedule people.
I'd like to know where the chief is, why he's not here giving us a report.
The contract requires him to.
He's supposed to be here every month by contract, but he
Yeah,
ignores the
I've seen
contract.
one.
Him or his designee.
He showed up
And that was-
once, asked for
And they wanted
$200,000.
$1,000.
Well, they're asking for the same thing that Madison asked for, squad and fire.
What would it take now to get 2 people in this station 24 hours a day to protect us?
There's options that's being looked at, but I don't
Knowledgeable
have any.
people.
Well, they're not being looked at because they ain't been looked at with me, so. You also said last year that the fire department had to get a insurance to have a fundraiser over here. And you told us at the meeting, because it's on the tape, that it was a board decision whether they have a fundraiser over here, they had to get insurance. And if it was a board decision this year, then you're making board decisions without me being involved in it, so.
No, we didn't make any board decision without you, Doug, because the contract is with.
The contract does not say for fundraising. We carry the insurance on here, so if somebody if they have over here and get food poisoning, we're the ones getting sued, not Hanover, because we're the ones paying that insurance.
We had
That was the
this
reasoning we were given last year.
Yes, I know what the reason was last year,
And
because I
that's
paid for
exactly
the
what the
insurance.
attorneys told
I
us.
paid for the insurance last year.
That wasn't,
so.
the question is, what
No,
can
we
we do
had
to
to
get
pay
2
them
people in
ourselves.
this station? Obviously, it would have helped her out. I think they could drop from here to
EMS
her
billing
house.
would help,
Less than
but they
20 minutes.
denied that too.
They denied that for our fire department, but gave it to Hanover so they can take their money down to Hanover.
Okay, in the public comment, those were the 3 people that asked to be on the agenda.
Doug, can I say something?
Thank you. Is
Yeah,
there an
no, you can.
executive session?
Hanover squad went to my family's house July 4th for chest pain. There was no medical showed up. Not one medic. They had 2. Some guy, I had no clue who it was. The other guy got fired at St. Albans and worked at St. Albans. They didn't give my mom no oxygen, nitro, aspirin. What's the first 3 things you do for a cardiac patient?
Yep.
Medics.
Right, heart monitor.
Was it just for
Didn't bring a heart monitor in.
Basics now in the state of Ohio are allowed to administer baby aspirin to any cardiac related incident. Your mother should at least been given baby aspirin, and she was not.
Once she got to the hospital, they gave her all that.
Yeah, they didn't do anything, they loaded
So
her
are
in
you
that
doing
squad.
okay now?
It doesn't matter if it's okay now.
Okay, so what if the next
What
time
happens
they
if
look
it
at
was
theater?
something
I
serious?
understand that.
The problem is that we're paying them $162,000, the highest amount of money we pay for personnel ever under Madison's 105. We're paying them 50,000 plus more than we were getting paid, and there's not paramedics on their wagons when they're rolling. So we're having firemen going out to save people, and they're stuffing them in the car and they're taking them to the hospital. It's a stuff and ride compared to service.
Are you gonna edit that out of your video, or are you gonna leave
I
that?
never edit the videos. Never have
Okay.
edited a video once.
Okay.
You record everything when everybody calls you, why should you edit it?
Yes,
I don't record everything.
Yeah,
When?
Go ahead.
believe me, you gotta record everything.
I'm sorry.
Bill Karen's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
have we got the exit audit from the state exam?
We have not received that yet. We did pay the fee this evening as a check for payment of that audit. So I anticipate that it should be released once they receive that payment.
Okay, I got a new haircut the other day, I was in the barber shop and they're saying Madison Township is paying late fees because the bills aren't being paid on.
Yeah, because nobody will, because what they did is a past fiscal officer had the township's website on a personal website. So when she calls, when Jennifer calls to get the passwords, and she don't know the security questions, the only place that they'll send the passwords is to the old email account. And the old email account is in a private account that she can't get access to.
And
So-
the book of passwords
it is.
disappeared between the
Yeah, the
two
book of
trucks.
passwords, when we hired the temporary, when Nancy was laid up, and we hired the temporary before before Jennifer took over, there was a book of passwords, and magically, it all disappeared when Jennifer took over, along with a lot of the records. There's a lot of
I
records
thought
missing out there
that
too.
you would give her the password.
No, we're talking about the
Yeah.
tax, we're talking about the federal tax, to pay the federal tax and state tax and that stuff.
And there is a procedure that you need to go on to, once you provided your certification of election and training, that they would issue you your own user ID and password. Passwords are not, that's what the state auditor and the state treasurer's office said. For all the things, because user IDs and passwords are not transferable.
Then the old fiscal officer or the interim fiscal officer should not have had the book of passwords.
She shouldn't have, but she magically
she
had
have-
them, and then they dried up.
She said she did.
I think she used
She
hers.
was, she can't use hers to pay taxes from here.
She used
had
her
to
own
enter
user
the system.
ID.
Yeah, to enter the system.
Still do not have is the EFTPS, pay federal payroll taxes. Cannot get into that system. I've called twice to reset that password. To reset that password, they have to mail PIN number, requires a three-step verification, get tax ID number, PIN number, and password. To reset the password, they want PIN number. They will not change the address without PIN number. The PIN number, I requested the IRS mail the PIN number twice, to the old address on Beer Road. And I haven't got that PIN number by mail. I requested it from the IRS twice, but the IRS is slow and how long they're supposed to.
So why is the mail still going to Bill Road?
It won't change the address because I'm not authorized.
On the
And
account.
who's authorized?
To
Well,
be
it's not-
authorized, I have to change the password. I
But
need
who
PIN
currently
number.
is authorized?
Just Nancy.
Nancy's still authorized, but
She's
none
not
has been changed.
authorized as of the end of March.
Well,
Technically,
So-
she could still log into
she
the
can't pay it, but she's
federal
gonna log in.
tax system, because they haven't given me permission to do that. To answer your question, I paid less than $10 in late fees. The state was the only one that I was unable to get changed for more late fees, and it was just more late fees from the Fed in the future. And I have changed the address on every bill as I mailed it. That's, the ones that have not, that I've mailed a letter to and did not respond to my letter, I called. I've got a list of ones that requested coverage at the office. I received mail from them, so I know who still is not sending stuff to my address, but some of those bills that are not monthly, I don't know.
Till you get something from
Get
them.
something else.
I do believe the trustees were supposed to send some letters out documenting that we have new fiscal officer, if my memory serves right. Is that true?
Somebody needs to give her a little bit of
2 or
assistance and
3
we wouldn't
of
pay
the-
late fees. It isn't her fault.
Of the places, Gophers being one, said that that was one way to get access. They did not get access that way, not access. They had in mailing letter.
And that was the instructions that they gave to us that we needed to
Said I could
do.
do either way, then I could get the trustees to all sign a letter for.
To send it to the,
Oakers was one,
okay.
state of Ohio for the.
So will that work with
Gateway.
this other, the UAN or whatever?
UAN, I have complete access to.
She has complete access to it.
The EMTPS, the federal tax payment system, I cannot pay when I withhold your federal tax, I cannot pay that to them. I have called
Electronically.
by phone, and I can
You gotta do the
get
PIN
them
number.
to, take payment over the phone. So I'm not late paying it, but I can't file it, so I'll be late filing it if I don't get it.
So-
My experience corporately, they don't charge you for late filing, there's no interest, the charges are very minimal for late filing fees.
So we gotta figure out
About
how to
June
get it.
30th to get in there. And I
They
did
wouldn't
call.
like accept a copy of your bond or whatever, showing that you.
It's federal IRS. You spend 2 hours on the agent. And it's calling the IRS, same with you, calling the IRS in April was impossible. That's the first time I requested a letter was in April. Seeing where his taxes were, it was temporarily. I lost in shovels, I called again last month. Just requesting that number be mailed out, one of the mailed to Beal Road. Windstream was one, the Madison Township, Windstream on that email was associated with a residential landline phone number and the income policy, so they could not transfer that to give me access to that. So we started getting, and anybody who does not have a new email address, his email goes.
Or the time they're leaving mail down here and it's opened and it's illegal to open mail that's not to you. It don't matter what the address has on it. It says Madison Township Fiscal Officers and one person legally that can open it and that's her. And whoever's bringing the mail is bringing part of the mail down here open. We don't know who that is either, so.
Where is the mail being off? Should I have to get mail just right here on the table? Or just let somebody know that it's here? Or is that-
I usually, on my way through, stop 2 or 3 times a week because they just drop stuff off here.
Back to my comment, I wasn't done yet. Who should we call if, God forbid, I need to call 911 again? Is there a better phone number to get faster service?
Drive to the township line and call 911 from there at Station 4.
Or is that,
Station 4 is at East Main Street and Dayton Road.
they're not open anymore, are
Like
they?
you'll get a school, you'll get a fire department there with a medic. 2, all of them are medics.
Are they staffed?
Not all the time,
That's what I thought.
but you'll get a paramedic with a lot better continuity of care than what you're getting now.
Do you have any, we need to come up with a plan here, I think, to how to get better service to the township. I know there's only been 4 people in here tonight, but there's probably more stories out there like these 4. So I don't care if Hanover's running the show. We need people here that can get there faster and
They
Yeah,
can't.
I
be
thought-
able to
you're
transport.
right about the 2 medics here 24 hours a day. I mean, that's the solution.
What was that
Yeah,
number we
it
passed?
is a bad mouth of
That
Hanover.
for-
The problem is Hanover doubled. When they gave them this township, they doubled the runs they made overnight. So that means for them to give the same service, they needed to double the people they had working there. They haven't done anything with the people they have working there. That's the problem. This is
Actually,
not
I-
bashing Hanover. This is bashing the service that you're getting, because if they're gonna cover 3 townships in the village, instead of having 50 people, they need 70 or 80 people down there, so they have people all the time when they have runs.
And I did talk to Brian about that very thing this past week, and I'm hoping that he's looking into it, that
What was that
the
level we
same-
passed? Is that just from 8 to 8 here during the day, or 6 to 6?
It was from 8 to 4:30.
8 to 4:30?
And the points, I know that.
That was staffing, it didn't have any parameters as far as the hours or anything.
But we had 3 people here between 8 and 4:30.
You were supposed to have 2 people here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, 1 person on the weekend.
Without raising the taxes, there's not enough money here, and maintaining the equipment, there's not enough money here to
There was at least
staff
one
it
volunteer
What?
here extra.
24 hours a day, 7 days.
Like I said, I'm not a firefighter, EMT, anything. What does one person at the station do?
Well, what one person at the station does for you is they run the truck out as long as you have somebody else marking on their way to the scene, and you don't have to wait for the people to come here. If you have one person there, they'll go to the scene, they can't transport. If it's an EMT or a
But you'll have
paramedic and they
volunteers
drive out there,
going
they
to the
can,
scene to complete
If
the
one
start
person's
one.
in the ambulance, can he get out of the ambulance before the second person to run?
Absolutely.
yes, but they can't transport, they can do patient care. And then what they're gonna do, if nobody marks, if one person leaves, was coming up to your dad's house, what they do, if nobody answers on the way up there, they're gonna call somebody from mutual aid, they're gonna go in and start
Well, in your
patient
dad's
care.
situation, what happened was right. They came in as a non-breather, there's an automatic mutual aid set up through the entire county. You automatically get 2 departments, mutual aid started, you were supposed to get 2 medic units, squad units, from 2 different locations.
We got 3, we're lucky.
And that's what it's,
You are lucky.
that's what
You
it's,
are very lucky.
you know, that was intended for.
Well.
I understand the 3 now, but
Well, that's
Okay.
I don't understand the 10 minutes.
We don't have an answer for you
you
right
don't
now.
understand
Mary
the
has a
care that you got.
comment.
I just have a quick question, I'm kind of kept quiet throughout the past year. What oversight, what oversight or control do you guys have and are you exercising over him? Your comment just a minute ago, Jody, was, I haven't just had this conversation with him, and I'm hoping that he is going to address it.
Well, it wasn't a board, it wasn't a
Right,
board
so-
sanctioned
okay, so
discussion,
what-
you know.
What, control, what, oversights are I use, does the board have and is exercising over month after month after month after month, times 12, of complaints? What is being done? Are you just saying, hey Brian, we had a complaint? Or are you demanding a response back? I mean, that's what, I think a lot of the big frustration is, we've got all these complaints, you know, and I'm hoping that you
unfortunate-
take care of it. but
right.
what,
The unfortunate thing about the whole situation is, for as many complaints as we're hearing tonight, we've probably had triple that, people calling like Brian to our personal cell phones telling us that they're pleased. And I know none of you are gonna believe that, so don't attack me. Please don't attack me. But, so, you know, I mean, it's addressing each thing, you know, pat on the back, no, that wasn't a good thing that happened. Pat on the back, you know, we had 4 people at the meeting, what's happening? You know, I mean, I'm trying to talk to him some, I think we all are. But when you have a contract, you know, you kind of look at it at contract time, I guess.
okay, well, part of the
Okay, now
contract
we're at
is
contract
also-
time.
Also for him to be here each month to at least, at a minimum, give a report. The fire chief, Darren, was here every meeting, and he answered questions.
Yes, he was here too.
He answered questions.
Yes,
Well, we're kind of
And
getting
gave-
outside the scope of all the
we're not.
comments.
We had
No,
somebody
we're-
here talking
I'm
every
just
single meeting,
basically
because I've been at
wanting to
every
know
one of
Well,
30
that's
years.
what
oversight
he was
is there?
having Mark speak for him, and tonight Mark is.
What oversight
Mark
is
can't
there?
speak for him and be his designee, because if Mark's here and he's turning in hours for being here, then we're paying him, so he can't work for Hanover when we're paying him. He cannot be his designee. He's double dipping if he is. He's
And is
working
he
for
getting
Hanover
paid
and
for
us at the same
tonight?
time. If that's legal, then we need to tell Jason that he can get paid here and he can go work for somebody else and get paid too. It's the same thing.
I think
The contract, me and the prosecutor had a discussion about this contract, and he and me both agreed on one thing. If you weren't gonna make him come to the meeting, then why did you put it in there that he has to come to the meeting or send somebody here? That's the only question I really have. Why would you put that in the contract if you weren't gonna enforce the contract?
What can you do to enforce it?
Tell him he has to come or quit paying him, or if he ain't gonna come, then hire somebody else.
Well,
Because really,
That's
this
fine.
whole deal would have been a whole lot better if they'd hired somebody from inside the township as the person that should be a fire prevention officer.
He's getting paid for work, you know.
and where's the other reports that he's supposed to do about what
Collecting
he's,
paper.
This whole deal would be a whole lot better because then you'd have somebody to answer to.
because are we getting $1,000 back for him
No,
not
you're
being
getting
here
nothing back.
tonight?
No, you're getting nothing back whatsoever.
And the other reports he's supposed to do too about showing what he's doing as far as his safety prevention and fire prevention and training and all that stuff. He hasn't provided either. I requested that and there isn't any records because he hasn't done them. And he's supposed to do those at least quarterly. Not to mention being here at the meetings. And when I talked to him on the phone, he told me he was gonna start showing up at more meetings.
Yeah.
And we see where this is at.
Well, he's come to one.
Yeah.
Pick one and ask
Yeah, ask us for
$200,000.
$200,000, so
And how much does he get paid?
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month.
How we're on the subject of Spellman, he sent a friend of mine a text message the next day after Dad's incident, asking why he was heckling his guys. There was no heckling at all going on at my parents' house.
Yep.
And Brian, you can, there was no heckling at all. I find it very inappropriate from a township officer to be doing that. If you'd like to see the text message from Spellman, it's right here.
I believe you.
So you said we need to address the contract. The contract's coming up here pretty shortly. We gonna address the contract?
How long was the contract for the original?
Well, they wrote it in their course so that after
But
the
it
first
was-
year, if nobody complained about it, it
Subject
renews
to-
automatically.
Depends on what day that you look at, because it says a year, but
But it also
actual
says
date
later
is
on down in
11
it.
months.
Yeah, there was an error in the typo of that.
Or didn't have the right date?
No.
The original document said June,
Oh.
Yes,
but that was penned incorrectly.
yeah.
So,
So are we gonna address the contract, or since it's coming up, or are we just gonna let it renew and keep going the same way we are? Does anybody know that answer to that question, or?
I don't know what the answer is, Doug.
I'd say if
I
he's not
think
gonna
we
show
need to-
up for meetings or whatever, what are you paying $15,000?
12,000.
Or 12, or what? I mean, you're paying $1,000 a month and he's not showing up for meetings, not giving you a report. Take it away from him. Can you take it away from him, or is it in this contract?
Well, I can't take it away from him because I'm 1 against 2, so.
Well, what I'm saying
Or
is,
he's already having it taken away
it's
from
either
him,
you
so.
show up or you lose your $12,000. We'll put another fiscal officer, or not fiscal officer, but a fire prevention officer in his place. If he can't handle it and do his job, what he's getting paid to do, then he doesn't need $1,000 a month. You find somebody else. Because it's obvious he's taking the township's money and not doing his job.
Yep.
If you and I took somebody's money and didn't do our job, we get
Better.
fired.
Yeah, and have to pay it back.
You know, so it's like this. You either take care of the situation or you get rid of it. I mean, that's fair. He's taking money out of all these citizens' funds in the township.
After my baby had the seizure at our house, they came, I called you three, said they did a good job. Just about a month later to the date, we was camping in Zanesville, he had another seizure. 2 squads came to the campground, they had him on oxygen immediately, and had stickers all over his chest and
That's
stomach.
EKG.
EPG, and then transported him. And none of that was done at my house.
And that's one of the first.
By the time Christy came running over first, he was breathing by the time she got there, so I don't know if when they start breathing again, they don't do that,
No, it should have been put on.
or
No,
I don't know all the rules and regulations, but that was the 2 differences I saw between at my
according
house
to the
and
protocol, it
Zanesville.
should have been done.
Oh, yeah.
That's just like, and I got a whole other list of complaints from LMH and
How do you know
911
if it's
center
off
and all
or
that.
what is it?
We have to,
You ain't not reading EKG.
What's your
you ain't no
address?
clue.
we have to address the
No,
bigger
I'm trying to
problem.
wait to get a timeout
We,
here.
we can't
Okay.
teach Spellman how to do this the way you guys used to do it. It isn't
Would you
gonna
like to go
happen.
ahead and
We have to
address
find out why it
questions?
happened and solve that problem.
I kind of just, hi, Chris Shook, and I bring some objectivity here. I'm a lawyer in town and also a candidate prosecutor. I've got the contract in front of me. I can tell you that the contract automatically renewed almost 90 days ago. If you don't give 90 days notice before the year term is up, it automatically not sure that the failure of the Hanover Township Fire Chief to come to the meetings would qualify as a sufficient basis to terminate the contract, but it might be. And I can tell you that under provision 4, he's supposed to be here, or at least someone who's a reasonable designee. And again, I come at this from a completely objective point of view. I don't have a stake in one way or the other, but under the terms of the contract, those are serious issues. And he should, in my opinion, be here and be held at least somewhat accountable for some of the complaints that we're hearing about.
Does all his duties take place in this room? Everything he's expected to do takes
No.
place in this room?
And I know sometimes he hasn't been here because he works his full-time job at Heath, sometimes on Tuesdays when we have our meetings.
Just a yes or no?
No, his duties
No,
don't
they
take
don't
place.
have to take place
Right.
in this room.
Another question about that, he is
So that would
technically
be-
labeled fire prevention officer.
Fall under Darren's too, right? 'Cause
As
full-time
part of
job.
my job, I deal with fire prevention officers from Columbus, from Dublin, from other jurisdictions, slightly bigger, but they are out, maybe not every day, but let's say they would come down here and inspect this building as part of their job. Have we gotten him to do any reports on that?
No. The problem here is, if you had a fire prevention officer that wasn't part of that fire department, then it wouldn't be our place to deal with him. It'd be the fire prevention officer would deal with the fire department, and then the fire prevention officer would deal with us. But what they did, they gave the whole thing to one person, and that one person has complete control. So,
In the contract, in your opinion, does it say that we have to keep him for the fire prevention officer?
I don't know that it means that you have to keep a specific person as your fire prevention officer.
We
I
just
think
have to
that-
have
We have
one.
to have a-
you
By
have to
law,
have
we have to
one.
have a fire prevention officer.
But,
Yeah.
but there is a specific contract with Brian himself
Yeah.
as a fire prevention officer.
Right.
yeah, he signed his own contract.
There's
That's
a,
his-
Yeah,
there's,
I don't have that.
there's a separate
contract.
one.
But he's not fulfilling his contract.
Okay, is there,
So Doug, who do we need to complain to about the service? Is it you guys or their medical director or what?
It's not gonna do any good to complain to me, so.
Who's their medical director?
He's a physician out of Grant.
Does anybody know his name?
I thought they went with the doctor out of Grant, and I'm trying to get his name.
It isn't an attack on Hanover, you just overloaded them. And the reason we're getting the service that we're getting here is because you overloaded them, and there's no way with the amount of people they have, they can cover that much territory. That many square miles of territory. If you stop and go from the corner of Madison Township into the corner of Perry Township, you see how far that is, how long it takes you to drive from that. So, you know, and it wouldn't be so bad, but they're using our squad to make private money, because they take our squad out to Briarcliff to the motocross race and leave our squad set out there all day instead of it being here to protect us.
and
It's
their
out there to
squad was
protect.
here, they're.
No, it was not either, so I got pictures of it the day that it was down here, so, of the firehouse, so.
Nothing here but out.
It was at the.
Is there a reason to have an executive
This
session?
one was out there.
No,
I think there
medical
ought to
director,
be executive session to
Correspondence?
figure something out.
Oh,
What did they
Medical
get?
Gary
for
has
that
a-
out
the
there?
medical
Are
director,
they
they,
paying them to show? Cause usually
Yeah,
they're
you can
paid.
give that to whoever wanted
Yeah,
it.
they're paying, but I don't know how much.
Doug, you might want it.
Write this down.
I'm ready.
oh, Dr. Spelling, R-A-E-T,
What do you?
R-A-E-T, R-A-E-T.
R-A-E-T, I'm sorry, Z-K-E. That's the
CKT?
Yes.
Picture him with a towel.
R-A-E-T,
It's for Zeke, I believe.
Z-K-E.
Oh, yeah, Rosicki.
Yeah.
And he's from Grant.
I've not met him.
It's called Grant. And he's from
I'm
Grant
sure he
Hospital.
has, and his office, if you,
Trauma center down there.
I'm sure if you pull it up on their website, you can have a direct line number to
We
him
were there
somewhere.
during a motocross down in Genesis. They had 4 traumas come in from Briarcliff, the 3 hours we were there. I asked that same question, is it Nikki closer? And they said, well, this is trauma down.
Yeah, they are a level
Genesis.
3 trauma
Jennifer, do you
center.
have any correspondence?
Come on,
Is there any announcements?
supper time.
Any
Go
announcements?
eat.
So what we found out is the contract is renewed as it stands now.
Yep, till next July, you're stuck with a service. I
Oh,
hope
no,
it-
no,
I hope
no,
it's-
not July, we need to, if we're gonna
90 days.
consider any action, it has to be
90
90
days
days
before.
before, yeah. So July, June,
Would,
So, I hope that
April.
the people that die are not related to you, so, because it's gonna happen sooner or later.
Would it start, I'm asking, cause I, obviously, if you're elected prosecutor, this, I know you said you don't have anything in the pot, but if you are elected, this is gonna become your issue.
Correct, sir.
So,
You would
Sooner
have
rather
to
than
decide by next April 14 whether you want to renew the contract or issue a notice of termination in writing.
I was told by a trustee when, after I signed this, that the contract is in our favor, we can withdraw it whenever we wanted to.
You can engage in a mutual withdrawal.
Yeah, there's a clause that it can be.
Is there any way the three of you could sit down with Brian Spellman and see about getting better service? Have a meeting, all three of you and him?
Good luck with that, I already tried that.
Yeah, we
My
did
mom
that.
and I tried that in September of last year, and not even 12 hours after they told us that they automatically had mutual aid, they had a call, and it was a heart call, and they did not dispatch mutual aid.
And if you sit down with him and tell him
that
it took
was-
20 minutes to go on the run, the first thing that's gonna come out of his mouth every single time is that times that from the 911 center are not correct.
And that is exactly
that-
what he
and-
told me.
And she's not the
I
first
have
person that
nothing
they
against
told that
Brian
to.
Spellman or Hanover, we just need better service.
We need
faster
better service, and we
when
can't
they
get
get
it with the
there,
amount of people that they
you
have
do
down
something.
there.
Well, if that's the case, Doug, then why was our department closed on run times if?
Well, because it was all scam and everybody knows it now, because the run times they just complained about were slower than all 10 or 12 run times that Mark Van Buren had at that meeting, so make your own decision. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out what happened here.
And I'm sorry, did we find out whether or not Hanover could use our equipment for a paid gig at
special
Briarcliff?
events.
Mark was supposed to check with the prosecutor about that.
They're double dipping. Track's paying them, and then we're paying them.
That makes
That's
it for
not
sure,
our
Jose, because
equipment.
you're using government-owned equipment, taxpayer-owned equipment to make private money. It isn't no different in town courtesy to come down and get one of our squads and take it out there and use it to make money. It's no different whatsoever.
Just clarification though.
Cause I'm gonna have Jason come plow my driveway.
They cannot do that.
It's only be for services.
And I'm gonna buy $10.
Why don't they take,
Our
why,
equipment has
why don't they
gone
just
in.
take Hanover's squad out there, they wouldn't be able to take the pictures of it.
Mutual aid
They got 2 squads, take their squad out and use ours to
We
make
used
runs,
ours
and then we wouldn't be
before.
having this argument.
to Newark and other places, but this is.
They're also
for a
billing our
private
citizens.
Okay,
gig that he's getting paid.
They're also
Second.
billing our citizens, and our trustees would never allow soft billing here at that point.
All those in favor?
You made a motion to adjourn.
Good, I'm going out getting air conditioning. Maybe it's 'cause they don't want anybody to come.
I know it's your work, that's our thank
There might be a good reason for it.
Yeah, not common.
They don't have any.
Yes.
I heard the battery telling me.
I sprained my ankle
Gordon, see you Monday night?
Well, I didn't ride any buses. For sports and.
actually, the only complaints I've heard have been in the.
No, I cared about my neighbor who's a bus driver down in Abston. That's about all I know.
I didn't stay. I left. No, they told me it wasn't as good, so I left.
Probably a couple degrees. You need to tell your son to keep your fingers off there. He breaks.
Well, it's nice to meet you, sir.
If you happen to have a card, I can send you a contract with Brian.
And Jennifer, give that computer to Jason.
Public
Well,
the
I don't have
general
an email now. I have
general contract with
checked with
It
her.
just says chief,
Maybe
and
last
we
week.
can do me now.
You're not on
And I
our
would agree,
website
I
yet.
would want-
I'm just not,
Right,
I'm
because
not in charge of
doesn't
that.
work for him, he works for us.
Correct, he's here, yeah, Mark's here as administrator.
Right.
Not as designee. And again, I say that without taking any position on any side.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll send that to you so you can see that.
I appreciate it, thank you.
How's your dad?
Contract may not be perfect, but being treated a hell of a lot worse. A lot worse.
Yeah, I only have an opinion on the contract, on the policy part of it, that's kinda outside my area.
I thought about asking you for her phone number and stuff. I said, nah, I get it. I should get it from her. And I get it from her.
That was loud. Yeah. I guess that's what I was told I would expect the last
They
time.
drink too much water.
Doug, thank
Come
you
sit
for
here.
having me, I appreciate it, sir.
There's a trash can out here somewhere, right? Somewhere. You gotta dig for it.
You don't have any answer yet. I understand. I'm just asking.
Yeah, there
I'm
is.
just asking